It's Dr. Andrea Mills with Restoration Chiropractic, and I'm here today with Shelly Shubert. She owns BodiRoc personal training or personal fitness.
Personal fitness.
Okay, good. So she's a personal trainer, and what we're here to talk about today is we're here to talk about how do you get into exercising when maybe you used to and you haven't been, or you want to, but you don't know how to start. So Shelly's going to lead us through how to make that transition so that you can start getting fit and getting the body you want to get. So Shelly, welcome so much. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Yeah, when you've been away from fitness for a while, I think what you need to do is ask yourself, what do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy walking? Did you enjoy strength training? Did you like yoga? And then find either a gym in your area, find and look for a personal fitness trainer in your area, and then they or the gym will help you get started in that endeavor to fitness.
Yeah, that's great. It's so funny you say that because I used to enjoy running, and I used to enjoy running a lot. And my husband and I always joke that I used to like running because I was angry. And so I was like running out my anger. And so now I'm not angry anymore and I hate running. Like I'm just not interested in running at all.
Well, you know what, Andrea, the fact is that most of us are not made to run. It works for some people. It works when we're younger, but really a lot of us just need to, if we're going to do the endurance work, we just need to move through space how we were made to move through space. And that is just a walking program or treadmill, or a beautiful way to work your hips is the elliptical. So don't feel bad that you don't like to run anymore. Or you can do, you might think about doing interval training with running. Like you could run a little and then walk a little and run a little and walk a little.
Run a little and walk a lot, and then run and
walk a lot.
More,
I mean, when people are always concerned with burning calories, and for your average person, you can't run fast enough to really burn more calories than when you're walking. It's negligible. So really, walking is a beautiful way to move your hips. You can concentrate on your stride length, which will work your hips and your abs. And it's just a super way to work in a cardiovascular fitness program.
Well, that's good to know. And all I heard was I don't need to run.
That's right. That's good. Yes.
Yay. Okay, good. So you've been a personal trainer for a long time, right?
I've been a personal trainer for 34 years.
I think you probably know what you're doing.
I have a lot of experience in the area. I've been to, I got a Bachelor of Science in Indiana, and I grew up being an athlete. I was a swimmer and a dancer throughout my whole life. So back in the 70s, we did a lot of strength training, plyometric work, cable work when it wasn't even popular. So I really feel privileged in the city that I grew up in to have been exposed to the nuts and bolts of strength training work. I then went to UCLA, got a degree in fitness instruction, and then just started to move out and gain the experience.
Okay, very nice. And then you work with all sorts of people, right? Like you don't just focus on women, but you work on women and men.
I work with everyone, and I think that probably the most important thing for a person to remember who is starting to get into fitness is make sure that the person that you're working with is knowledgeable about the body, because the one thing that I will say is this: I could line up 10 people, men, women, adolescents, and I'm not going to train them the same way because they're going to have a lot of different anatomical problems. So you have to make sure that when you're working with someone that you find out specifically what their problems are, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, if you're feeling any kind of injury, you definitely want to make sure that that's handled. Okay, we have a little bit of feedback.
Is that
Do you have earplugs to put in?
I do not.
All right, let me see if I put in mine, if that solves the problem. Hang on one second.
Okay. Hey, Dylan.
Okay, how's that?
That sounds good.
Okay, good. So let's do this. Let's get started. If someone wanted to get started working out, and maybe they have never worked out before, or they used to work out but they've taken a little bit of a break, what's the best way for them to get back into the groove? Should they just start some program? Like what should they do?
Well, I think what they should do, depending on their age, naturally, if they're like 50 and a little older, they should definitely get a doctor's okay to start doing some fitness. And then the thing that I find that most people do is they start out in, like, say, if they're going to go to the gym, the most advanced class or the highest level class. When you are starting out in a fitness program, if you want to take a class, start out in the beginner class. If it's a muscle conditioning class, if it's a Pilates class, if it's a yoga class, maybe instead of taking power yoga, you're going to start with a hatha yoga. So the main thing is, what I try to tell my clients, if they tell me that they're going to work out 7 days a week, I tell them, let's set a goal that we're going to work out 2 to 3 days a week. So I think the most important thing is that you have to start out simple, and you have to take your time with fitness. If it's a trainer that you're working with, the trainer should know that you need to start out slowly.
So why just 2 days a week versus like 4 or 5? Is that just to build the habit? Like, what's that all about?
Well, I think that it kind of goes along that all or nothing approach. You know how people, the 1st of January, they're going to work out 7 days a week. And then usually by the second week, they're not even working out.
Right,
so
right.
I think that being moderate, starting to work out slowly is a better approach than training 7 days a week. And when I said 2 days a week, let's say we're going to strength train and we're going to do cardiovascular work. So we're going to do those 2 things. Maybe you're going to set it that 3 days a week, you're going to go out and walk a half a mile to a mile. And then in between those 3 days, you're going to take 2 days and you're going to start to work some exercises. Whether it be, I break my workout into upper, middle, and lower body.
Okay.
And so you're going to start to do maybe some modified push-ups. And then you're going to start to do some sit-ups in the midsection. And with the legs, maybe you're going to start to do some leg lifts, lunges, or squats. So we have 3 days a week. Let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to do our aerobic work. No matter whatever it is, whether it's an elliptical, a treadmill, outside walking, and then 2 days a week, sandwiched in there Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to have a nice strength training workout. Then that gives you Saturday and Sunday to relax with your family, or or do something different. Maybe you'll go for a hike on Saturday and Sunday. But I do think it's important to give your body some rest days, because if you don't, your muscles will fatigue. You'll have a lot of lactic acid buildup. You'll be sore. You'll be tired. And guess what? Within a couple of weeks, you just won't want to work out at all.
Yeah. And you probably won't see any results either because your body is too fatigued.
Correct. I mean, the bottom line is that it didn't take us a week or 2 weeks to get out of shape. So it's not going to take us, it's not going to be a week or 2 weeks to get back into shape. You will naturally see results, but it's going to take some time. I mean, anything worth doing and having takes a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, I'm saying that all day long in my office to people, like all day long. I'm like, look, it didn't take you 2 weeks to get here. It took you a long time to get here. You'll get better faster than you got sick, but it's going to take some time. And it's so funny because our society has gotten to be so like instant gratification. We want everything to be fixed right now. And physiologically, it just doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. And really, Andrea, I think that if you go to a reputable gym or you work out with a reputable seasoned trainer, either place is going to lead you down the road to a very well-rounded fitness program.
Right.
What I like to tell people is it's about 5 different areas. We do some type of strength training. We do our cardiovascular work or the aerobic work.
Mhm.
We cannot forget flexibility work.
Right.
The only way that your muscles are going to be good at going through the ranges of motion that they have to go through in strength training is if those muscles are flexible from their proximal to their distal point, that they have the ability to go through that range of motion. I think we have to have a good food plan, whatever
Absolutely.
that is, whatever that is. And then
Right.
just what we were talking about, give it time. Give
Yeah.
it. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, for me, I still have to work at it. And honestly, I have not been inactive really ever in my life.
That I
But
believe.
but having had kids, having a
Right.
job, kids, we get very busy in our life,
Yeah.
and it gets very difficult to fit ourselves, taking care of ourselves into our life. And I think that that's something that we have to remember. And if we don't say, oh my gosh, I have to work out 7 days a week, and we just say, hey, this week I'm going to go out and take a walk a couple days this week.
Yeah.
I think that's a great start.
Yeah. I think in general, we are so driven to accomplish goals that we sometimes set up these unrealistic expectations. We expect to just be able to, go full bore. And I don't know about you, but I mean, between my husband and I, we have 5 kids. My ability to work out is very different now than it was in my 20s for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. And that's why I say things to people like when I first start someone and I say, now this week we're going to make sure that we get out there and we walk 3 days a week. And the person says, no, I'm going to walk 7 days a week. And I go, okay, well, my goal for you, I'm always going to half it. My goal for you is that we get out there and we do 3 days a week. Let's feel successful and let's accomplish that goal. And
Right.
then we can move on from there.
Yeah, that's a huge point. Like feeling that success is really important for people. Now, you mentioned something about strength training, and I kind of want to touch on this a little bit because a lot of women are scared of strength training. They're scared of like looking really muscular or looking really bulky. Can you talk about that a little bit?
There are so many different aspects to strength training, and quite honestly, you would have to lift a lot of weight and lift a long time to be big and bulky. I mean, the fact of the matter is this, and these aren't my rules or guidelines. These are guidelines that in my experience and my education throughout the years, that this is what it is. Strength training is the foundation for everything that we do.
Okay.
That is why athletes strength train. I'm going to pick up a book for you because I want to show this. This is a 4th edition. I don't know if you can see it. Can you?
Yeah.
This is a book on periodization. It's by Dr. Tudor Bompa. He was
Spell
in
it
the
for me.
Bompa. That's his last name,
Right.
Tudor. And the book is on periodization.
Okay. I put it up on the screen for people to look at.
Okay. He brought strength training and working out and conditioning from the West to the United States in the 1960s. And
Okay.
the fact is this: athletes strength train so that they will not have injuries, so that they will be able to do their sport better. For us average people, strength is the foundation for everything that we do. We must strength train to make it through our day, to make it, to deal with our busy lives, our vocation, our children, our young adults. If you strength train, you will be a great aerobic and cardiovascular trainer. If you are an endurance trainer, it's not the same crossover to strength. So it's just how the muscles it's how we build our muscles. So if you are a strength trainer, you will naturally be a good endurance person.
That's interesting.
Maybe about 10 years ago, I would go out and just run with people who were runners, and they would always say, I don't get it. You don't even run. But because my muscles were conditioned to go through the process and strong, they were able to do the endurance work. So strength training is something that it builds the bones, it builds the muscles. It's just what we need to do so that when we all get in our 80s and 90s, we won't, and if we step off of a curb and we fall down, we won't break our hip. So we want to put that intensity on our bones and our muscles so that they become dense, so that they have this matrix, so that they are strong. And if you are involved in, and not just weight training, I am a nuts and bolts strength trainer. I am very biased towards that, but Pilates, power yoga, stepping classes. I mean, anything where you are putting a demand on your body and gravity and you're in an upright position, then you're going to strengthen your bones and your muscles.
Yeah, bone density is a huge concern for women, especially after menopause. And I always tell people the best thing that you can do to protect your bone density is make sure that you're stressing your bones out. And how do you do that? You do that by walking and strength training. It's Wolff's Law. Wolff's Law states that when you stress something, it has to get stronger in order to handle it. So, absolutely.
Yes.
So how would somebody who maybe has not ever worked out and is at home with a kid, like how would they get started on maybe doing some of these things to start improving their fitness?
Well, what I think is a good idea, I mean, you could always start to look at magazines and kind of check out the exercises that you find in a magazine. If you have a little baby, I had 4. A baby is a very good progressive weight system. So it is, because as you
like lifting the baby, right?
Exactly, as you go through the months, they're going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. But for example, if you have like a young baby and like maybe a 4-month-old or a 5-month-old, you could take that baby in playing with him or her and just lift the baby up above your head. So there's a nice overhead press with your baby. And yet you're having some fun with that. So you could definitely do that. I like to use a lot of the things that are around someone's home, like a chair. You could do a tricep dip in a chair. But what I would encourage people to do is, you really, unless you were an avid workout person, you really need to get to a beginner class at a gym or find a trainer. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful trainers at gyms, and there are a lot of trainers that aren't at gyms, but get with someone who can actually show you exercises. Because for me to say to you, I mean, what I would say is if you're going to start out in a fitness program, you should start by doing maybe a modified push-up. Remember, in the upper body, we have pushing groups and we have pulling groups. You have to work your body evenly. So a modified push-up would be a good pushing exercise. A pulling exercise would be if you were vacuuming, which brings me to a whole functional exercise area. You could pull, in pulling the vacuum back, you're actually using your back muscles. So there are so many different things that you can do to work your body out. But I do think you have to get with someone to find out what exercises you're capable of doing and where your starting point is, and what exercises are good. Because maybe what you did 20 years ago, maybe things have changed a little bit, and we have realized that the exercises that we used to do are a little more contraindicated now than they were back then.
Definitely. Our bodies do change as we age. That is for sure.
But, you know, I said something about functional exercise.
Right.
Probably that's the one thing that people get, and they hear it in their minds when I say, whatever we do in our life, whether it's walking to work, walking into a store, park away from the store. Right. So that you can walk in and get some exercise. If my young kids, the kids who go to high school and college, they carry these backpacks. And I don't know if you remember, a few years ago when they were saying it is contraindicated to carry a backpack.
No, I didn't remember. I didn't hear that at all.
Please forgive me, Andrea, but we all have to, the kids that go to school, they have to carry a backpack. So
for sure.
Why not, when you put that backpack on your shoulders, why not think about your posture, pull in that transverse muscle that is a natural girdle in our midsection. Some people say sucking it in. I don't care what you do, but pull the muscle.
Do it.
Pull the muscle in so that you have a good base, and take that backpack and then use that again as a progressive weight system. Most of these college kids carry backpacks around all day long, and they walk all day long. They should be pretty fit and trim. So in that sense, that's a great way to think of a functional movement that you do every day in life, and carry that through.
Even an adult could do that, right? They could just take a backpack and maybe put like a big water bottle or something in it and walk around with it.
Absolutely. Whether you carry a purse or a backpack, you want to think about your postural muscles. You want to keep those muscles nice and tight and active, so that you don't hurt the lumbar region, the lower back.
Right.
We all have to do housework. Unless you have a housekeeper, which maybe in California, a lot of people do have housekeepers. But where I'm from, in the Midwest, Muncie, Indiana, not a lot of people had them. If you're making beds, if you're sweeping, if you're mopping, if you're taking your clothes from the washer to the dryer, or getting them from the dryer, think about squatting. Think about pushing and pulling. Everything that we do in life, we can actually make that a workout. And I challenge people, I challenge my clients, and this is what they always say that they hear in the back of their mind, that I'm always saying to them, whatever you do in life, whether you're a doctor, I have a doctor and she always is going down into her cupboard to get something for her patients, then instead of rounding your back, bend your knees, pull your abs in, squat down there, and then come up. If you do that, 20 or 30 times a day, you've just done 30 squats for that day.
Right, so that's awesome.
I think in our everyday life, we have to just find ways to make the natural movement that we have, make it an exercise.
Yeah, that's really good advice. It's also really good for moms of kids, because sometimes it's hard for them to get out like get to
Absolutely.
the gym or get and go do something. Now I know that you're pretty biased towards strength training. Do you think it's better than cardiovascular? Like how do they fit together?
Well, they're two separate beasts, and they must both be done.
Okay.
Strength training obviously is our foundation. Cardiovascular work or the aerobic work will naturally help us burn calories. It'll start to up the metabolism, which will help us burn that 3,600 calories for 1 pound. And the strength training will help the cardiovascular. The cardiovascular will help the strength training. They both have to be done. Flexibility work has to be done so that you can go through the ranges of motion, either with walking or some type of cardiovascular work and with strength training. So
Okay.
they're both very important.
Well, yeah, and then if you add in the flexibility, all three of them are very important.
They are all very important.
So
Absolutely.
I just started working out again. I took a little bit of a break just because life got in the way. And I'm so out of shape at this point that my strength training is cardio.
Well, and you know what? If you're doing hills, then that's kind of like a strength endurance for the hips.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people come to me and say, I wanna work out my legs. I wanna just do these squats, or they'll pick one exercise, and I say to them, where do you live? And they'll say, like, I live in West Hills, or I live around the mountains. Take those mountains, maybe like a half mile at a time, and start to travel up and down these hills. That is a perfect strength endurance program. Absolutely.
And where we live, I mean, there's tons of hills to walk too.
It's beautiful to work that in with flat ground.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about your number one rule, something that it was 5 to 7 exercises instead of a bunch of them. Can you go over that?
Well, like you and I were just saying, we are very busy in our life.
Right.
So I know a lot of young people, they can do this. They go to the gym and they may do 13 to 15 exercises, and they may be there, I don't know, 2.5
2 hours, right?
hours. What I say is simple but complete.
Okay.
5 to 7 exercises. If you're working multi-jointed exercises versus single-jointed exercises, a multi-jointed exercise, bench pressing, squatting, lunges.
Yeah.
So if you're working these bigger muscle group exercises, you can do 5 to 7, and yet work all of the muscle groups that you're working in the 13 to 15 exercises, because I guarantee you that in those 13 to 15, some people are doing like a tricep kickback or tricep press. See, that's a single jointed exercise.
Right.
Whereas maybe you're going to do like some type of an overhead press that incorporates the deltoids and the triceps. So, you've got 2 different joints working, so it's more of a multi-jointed exercise. So really you have to spend less time. Less is better.
So those complex movements really help you build more muscle faster.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, good. So Shelly, I want people to be able to...
And those complex movements work along the line of functionally how we work. So they're helping us in our functional everyday life.
Yeah, and it's all about making your body work for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to show your website up here for people to reach you. It's BodiRoc.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you wanted to get a hold of Shelly, first of all, Shelly, is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap up? We're coming up on just about 30 minutes.
No, I think I would just encourage people to get out there and start moving, and find people that they can rely on to help teach them things, whether it's a class at a reputable gym, or a trainer at a gym, or a trainer outside a gym.
Okay, good. So if you want to reach Shelly directly, you can get a hold of her at BodiRoc.com. That's her website. And then did you also want to give out an email address?
Yes, it is Shelly at BodiRoc.com. So Shelly,
Oh, it's body with an I, right?
SHELLY.
Is that right?
That's it. You got it.
Okay, good. So if you want to reach Shelly, you can reach her at shelly@bodiroc.com, or you can go to her website, www.bodiroc.com. Shelly, thank you so much for being with me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. And we'll have to do another one on another topic. This was fun.
Absolutely. Have a great afternoon.
Cool. You too. Bye.